All right, ladies and gentlemen, NHL season is upon us. NHL puck drop is 4 days away. So we thought to ourselves, why don't we bring in an expert in the sport, a true academic of the sport of hockey? I'm talking about a guy who went viral for going shirt off in the middle of a beer league game on a Tuesday night in Winnetka. All right. I'm talking about a guy who gets after it in the beer league, a beer league legend himself, a man who's wanted in 6 provinces throughout Canada, a man who may or may not be allowed back at the 5th most luxurious gentlemen's club in Thunder Bay, Ontario, the pride of Waukesha, Wisconsin. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chris Busby. Hey, there he is. Welcome
Hey,
to the pod, big fella.
thanks for having me. I made it to the big show. Don't quote us. I never thought I'd actually be featured. Thank you again for the invite.
Yeah,
Love having you, buddy.
you have to take a lot of pleasure in knowing that you are the first official guest in Don't Quote Us sports history.
Well, don't show me the list of unofficial guests because then I'm going to feel even better. But again, thank you. The honor is all mine. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it only took 5 other people to turn us down before we got to your name, so we're so glad you could be here.
Yeah, but I'm the first shirtless hockey player to be on. So I'll take any sort of accolades I can get in stride, pun intended. Let's talk some hockey. But no,
And for everybody that is listening to the pod and not watching on YouTube, Bus has just a bottle of maple syrup that he has alongside of him right now. And since we started recording, he's already taken multiple sips just straight out of the syrup bottle. So
it's a hack. It's in the
when I tell
hockey
you
bag.
we're bringing the experts in to talk about what they know best, we mean it.
You want to talk about finger on the pulse? This is the guy.
This is the guy.
Finger on the pulp of the trees from the great north, yes. But no, for special occasions, it's great for slicking back your hair, putting it in your mustache if you need something to kind of freshen your breath, or just drink straight up. It's the best.
So real quick, Bus. So I brought it up. We've brought it up. We have to talk about it because it was a viral sensation and makes you an expert in the field. For those that don't know, Chris went viral on Barstool at one point in his beer league career of skating around shirtless, just playing a little hockey with the boys. How did that happen?
Yeah, so we had a really good group on a couple different teams in Chicago, and the group itself of the 2 teams just has a pickup skate, friendly skate. Every week you would get a email around lunch, and it would say either wearing a light or a dark jersey. That day, got the email, I was wearing a dark jersey. Show up to the rink, and some of the folks wearing the light colors didn't show up, and we had to rescramble the teams, and they're like, hey, sorry, Bus, you're on light today. And I said I didn't pack it. So I got offered a large and as well as a medium. That wasn't going to work. I needed a king size California king bed sheet, and no one had one for me. So I took one for the boys, went tarps off, and it was a hit. So I continuously did that whenever I was on the light team throughout the summer. When the kids started showing up closer to the fall, I started getting filmed like a zoo animal on a regular basis. The actual footage that Barstool received was from the rink manager, who I've become friendly with now. But if you get an old clip in the archives of Instagram, you can hear him like heavy breathing, talking a lot of shit about me. So go out there on Instagram, try to find it. Half naked hockey guy or something, not on your work device.
So two questions here. One, were you just nipping out the entire time? Like, were you just shooting daggers out there on the ice, distracting the opposing players?
You're using your full body in hockey all the time. I was sweating. I probably was nipping out, but the real threat is falling just because the ice gets cut up. So that was the only thing I was really trying to not do is fall because you'd just be cut up. Nipples being exposed really pose no threat.
Okay. That leads me into question number 2. Without the protection, were we putting the body on the line? Any block shots by chance?
Yeah, I think just surface area allows me to be pretty good at that. But yeah, I think my goaltenders would tell you I'll eat some pucks for you. But no, in that league, we're all friends. No one's shooting high, and there's a few people that I can call out, but I won't, that shoot high, and I know that, so I'll get out of the way. I'm like, but yeah, in the clip at the very end, you see the puck ramp off of my backhand, and it goes right over my shoulder. So who touched my Batman cup? But it's one of those things where, it's an accepted risk. It would just bruise really bad if I got hit with the puck. So I was willing to take that on.
A legend of the game. An absolute legend.
Well, awesome.
Just don't fall, you're good to go.
Thank you for joining us. But the reason we brought you in is because ever since the Florida Panthers lifted the cup this spring, I know I haven't followed a lick of hockey. I know damn well Herb hasn't followed a lick of hockey. So we need you to hit us with an all-encompassing primer for this upcoming season. And I guess
Primer, hardly know her.
So I guess where I want to start here is I believe listeners should know that the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup this past June, back to back now. Pick me up there. What has happened? What are the big things that happened at this summer? And I don't know where we want to start. This is going to go in a bunch of different directions, but I'll give you the floor. What's top of mind?
Yeah. So in my opinion, don't quote me. That's the name of the podcast, right? So anything, just a little disclaimer here. If anyone disagrees with my opinions, sorry, but this is the way I see the offseason going.
Suck it.
I think this offseason was kind of insane. I think a lot of people will say there was like 2 or 3 big things, but I think that there's a lot of things that are below the surface that people may know. So kind of broke this down into a few different areas, where players are going, where coaches are going. So starting off with the players, and I think this might be the biggest. People will disagree with me on this. Hot take, Jonathan Toews. We'll talk about Mitch Marner later. Jonathan Toews took a trip across the Pacific Ocean to India to go purge what was going on in his body. He said he was chronic inflammatory syndrome as well as long-term COVID, which was kind of the beginning of the end of the dismantle of the Blackhawks. He is back. I think he's 36, 37. He is going home to the Winnipeg Jets. I see him as a third-line center, but, I mean, he's Captain Jonathan. 3 cups with the Blackhawks. It's hard to get that much character in a room. And I think that the story for Winnipeg has been, you've been absolutely relying upon Hellebuyck, and when the playoffs come, it just doesn't work. So I think that's probably the biggest news coming out of the Central. But kind of in the same relation, Colorado is getting Gabriel Landeskog back after kind of like a weird 2-3 years of just not being around. I mean, he was around the team, but he just couldn't play. But they're also adding a veteran Grizzly vet on the blue line, Brett Burns, that's coming over from Carolina. So with a very capable room of talented folks, they're getting 2 huge characters back into the locker room. But let's just keep talking about the old horses here, because it seems like that's the trend. So Malkin has been outright in Pittsburgh that they are not going to re-sign him after this season. This is his swan song after, I think, 19 seasons in Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby, trade rumors flowing for like the last 2 years, ever since they started losing, right? Be on the lookout for Pittsburgh to absolutely give it their all for these 2 vets.
Last dance.
The last dance. I mean, who's to say?
Is this truly the last dance?
You never know. Sidney Crosby is like Benjamin Button. He was like I think he was top 5. Don't quote me. Top 10 scorer last year. The guy you can't stop the guy. But anyways, for other kind of, I guess the big elephant in the room, Mitch Marner, all the drama, it seems that's been for like 7 years in Toronto, is now has a new home in Vegas, which seems where like all the rock stars go to have a second leg in their career. With Jack Eichel, with all the drama that he had with his neck in Buffalo, where the owners didn't want him to get a certain surgery. You have Mark Stone, coming over from Ottawa, where it just seemed like he was drying up like a prune. This is the team to watch, I think, in the West. But Mitch Marner has a trend of folding like a lawn chair. So we'll see if he gets out of the Toronto media, if Vegas is a better home for him and a long-term fit for success.
So let me ask you this, Bus, as a novice, because I understand that Toronto has not been what Toronto is supposed to be. Hockey's better when the Maple Leafs are better. Was he the problem? Was that the maple syrup? Was he the problem? Was he the issue? Is that what they're saying in Toronto? That we're free of this guy, or is it very much the other way around?
So I want to make sure, if the listeners are not listening, I am wearing a Boston hat. So I'm sorry in advance.
So there's
everything is wrong with Toronto.
I was going to say, there's going to be a lot of bias with this upcoming answer.
Yeah. No, you know what? I think Austin Matthews, a product of Arizona hockey, will be captain for the USA. I think, maybe. I mean, he's got a lot of years left. He's done a great amount for the game in the States. Everything is wrong with that locker room. I think William Nylander is a funny persona off the ice, but it's a distraction. I think that Jonathan Toews, oh my gosh, not Jonathan Toews. Yeah, sorry, Johnny T at the party. When he came over from the island, he just wasn't the same. They can't get the blue line figured out. Freddie Anderson was a mess, like everything. I can't blame it all on Mitch, but yes, he folds in the playoffs. So I think it's a failure by committee. They're too much star power. How do you divvy up that ice time? It's everything. But so we'll see. He's got a very strong supporting cast in Vegas that I think is a lot less drama-free. A lot of those guys have families. It's just a calmer environment out in Vegas. I also think they have an easier schedule. So
that's a hell of a thing to say, that
I think
it's a calmer environment. In Vegas, it's a very family-friendly place.
I'm just saying, they move out to, what is that, Henderson? They all got mansions in Henderson. It's chill. There's no media knocking at the door. They're not living in the high-rises, getting abused, going into the locker room every night. I think that'll make a difference.
And I think
but you're going to have the drunkest, rowdiest fans.
And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, though, it was part of the reason that I think Marner wasn't able to step up in some of those big moments, because for those that aren't aware, he's from Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. Like, that was his hometown team, right? And while I agree with you, he was not, the problem was not entirely him. I felt like he was the one that kind of was targeted most by media, just due to kind of his personality. It's not that he didn't care. It was just like the body language that he had on the ice, where he just seemed like the easiest one to kind of pick on, especially because he was struggling as well, to the point that they're going after his family. They can't even enjoy the games anymore. And like, this is their home. So I think I'm wondering what that just change of environment is going to do from him. Like, I almost get the feeling that it's just going to be like a weight off his shoulders, and he can finally just play free and play for the love of the game again, you know?
When I just have this clip in my mind from Austin Powers when Dr. Evil puts his arms out. He's like, come to Papa, come to Papa. That's how I kind of see the Vegas GM for all of these. Like, I don't want to call them the misfit of island toys, but they're looking for something else. And he's just like, come to Papa. I'll make it work. But yeah, Isaiah, I agree with you. Without getting into drama from like 7 years ago that got really, really nasty in the Canadian market. Yeah, it was a huge distraction for not just him, his entire family. I'm going to pick on him just for a second. He can do everything better than me besides eating, but he looks like he's 7 years old. And I don't think that helps when you are in a room of men and you're the smallest guy. I don't know. If he can grow out some facial hair in Vegas, I think that'd do him a lot of good too. So we'll see.
That's the difference. There it is. Little Rogaine on the face.
I mean,
but on the other hand, Bus, a couple teams that you didn't mention that I feel like have really been like at the top of their conferences, but just haven't been able to break through to win the big one yet, is the Carolina Hurricanes. And their problem is they just can't even get out of their side of the bracket in a lot of these seasons, or they're capped at the Eastern Conference Finals, where they have struggled mightily in the past. And then the Dallas Stars, who it feels like they are any one of these seasons, it's theirs. Have they made any big changes? Are they still at that level? Can we expect them to get back to that position? Or are they going to be taking a step back, and there might be some other teams that kind of leapfrog them come end of the season?
Without foreshadowing too much into my playoff outlook, I think Carolina's here this year. I think they're going to be a little foreshadowing. I think they're going to be a dark horse. It's not fair to call them a dark horse at all, actually. But no, they add Nikolai Ehlers from Winnipeg, which is a great depth forward. And then they have Keandre Miller kind of filling in the spot for Brett Burns. Is going to be youth. He's going to replace the length. I don't necessarily know if he's going to have the offensive production or the attitude in the corners. Rob Brind'Amour's team win by committee. They're swarmers, all three zones. I think that Carolina and Florida, it's kind of like the Spider-Man meme, just about two of them, though. Like, they're just kind of pointing at each other like, we play the same game here. But Florida's had the upper hand for the last few years. But taking a bigger step back, yeah, I think the Metropolitan and the East have a terrible pattern of cannibalism when it goes into the playoffs. It's just really, really difficult. Whereas the West, I feel like you have maybe a 5-6 horse race across the Central and the West. So it's going to be the same thing this year. It is going to be a long road to the finals, which is just kind of where we kicked off the conversation, a testament to how good the Florida Panthers have been for the last few years.
So correct me if I'm wrong, with the Hurricanes, come playoff time, the struggles have always been more so from an offensive perspective, correct? Is that Ehlers signing going to be enough? Because I know they brought in, what's his name at the trade deadline last year? Rantanen. Yeah.
That was a mess.
That he lasted 4 weeks there, and his ass was in and out. It was like the Simpsons meme where Homer walks into the bar and then immediately walks right back out the door type of thing. And
yeah, no, he didn't even finish his cup of coffee.
I think everybody can agree he's a top 10, if not a top 5 offensive player in this league. And even in the short time that he was there, he still struggled. So just by adding Ehlers, is that going to be enough to get them over that hump in the playoffs? Or do you think it's more like a mental thing at this point where there's almost like a self-doubt in that locker room? Because I know it's a lot of the same guys.
Yeah, no, I think it's a double-edged sword for the fact of the system that they play with Rod Brindamore is they win by committee. They don't necessarily have, in my opinion, they don't necessarily have the platform for an all-star player. Sebastian Aho is a phenomenal talent. He's not a Mikko Rantanen. He's not Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid. So it's just really hard for someone who needs and craves that type of puck time, that amount of shots on that. They're craving the points, right? These guys, I'm not in their locker room, but I see them as a pass-first team, not someone who's going to dangle you and just go all the way down and just be a rock star, right? They don't care about the stat lines. They just want to win. But again, live and die by the same sword. So I think Nikolai Ehlers, to answer your question, I think he is a team guy. I think that Winnipeg was kind of the same format. They have great players, over the last few years, but they don't have like a bona fide superstar that people buy tickets for. So I think he'll mesh very well. Same thing with Keandre Miller. I don't think he's that type of diva.
Okay.
But I do, because this is an all sports podcast. Mikko Rantanen is the best athlete in Dallas right now after they got rid of Micah Parsons, and I can't remember the guy in basketball. Don't ask me any questions about basketball.
Luka.
Yeah, and for the listeners out there,
Brandon is the cowboy. He's the Casanova of Dallas right now.
And for the listeners out there, that's exactly why Buzz has not joined us as a third host. He's not multi-purpose. He's not versatile enough for a podcast like this. We're all sports.
Oh, I can dance.
I'll spin you around.
Okay, yeah. So that's the Hurricanes. What about the Stars? I feel like, and to be honest with you, from my perspective, I have a little bit of bias. Jack Ottinger played at a high school in Minnesota that was in my conference. I got to see him live. He backstopped the Lakeville North hockey team when they went undefeated. I believe that was my junior year of high school, which doesn't happen frequently anymore. I love my Minnesota boys. Tell me.
Yeah, cue up glory days.
Yeah. So tell me it's coming, because I personally think Ottinger's a top 3 goaltender in the league right now.
You can't disagree. Dallas has been extremely fun to watch. There's always a lot of fun with the fans at the games. So even if you're not watching hockey, but you're watching the perimeter of the fans sitting behind the bench, for those of you know. For those of you who don't, watch the game. But the big question here is the new coach. Kind of a dramatic departure with Pete DeBoer. And then they have Galutson coming in. Not a new name to the boys club that is NHL coaches. But I think that it's totally going to be his room to win over. I think that, Robertson is obviously their kind of like homegrown star. And then you have Rantanen coming in, and you have great personnel between the pipes. Like, again, this is that 3, 4, 5 teams in the West that, again, cannibalize one another in the playoffs. But it's Dallas. I don't think they're sexy, though. Like, that's my only thing about their game is like there's nothing extremely sexy about them versus some of the high-flying offenses in the league. But the proof's in the pudding. They're a very good team, and they could definitely make it to the Western Conference Finals. I don't know if they have what it takes to beat the East in the finals, but I think it's theirs to lose.
So let me ask you this.
I don't know if we want to go into the West breakdown, but yeah, like, don't get too far in there.
Let me ask you this, because we're talking about goaltending. I heard this in my little bit of research leading up to this, and it kind of made me think. And this is not disrespectful to Bobrovsky at all, Mm-hmm. But what some people are saying is there's a formula in the NHL to get to the cup where you have star firepower up front, and you can get away with having an okay goalie. Not the world's greatest, but the okay goalie. Whereas Bob struggled throughout the season, regular season at times, but he turns into a different animal come playoff time. Is that something that you believe in? Is there any validity to that?
As a defenseman, hell no. Give me the best goalie in the world.
Make my life
I'll do
easier.
everything I possibly can. But think about every offensive defenseman. They need to have the confidence that if something were to go wrong in the neutral zone and they're trying to break it in on a rush and the forwards get lazy or change or whatever, they need to know that the goalie can take on a 2-on-1, or if it's a breakaway 2-on-0, you need to have a top tier goaltender. I think that the Edmonton fans listening to this are like punching a hole in drywall, because I feel like they haven't had the support they need up there, which we can talk about later. But no, I don't necessarily believe in having mediocrity between the pipes and having the hopes to score 6 goals a night. It's just so unrealistic. The goalies are streaky, scorers are streaky. So I think you have to really devote a lot of cash or to a really confident goalie tandem to win the cup.
All right.
So, Buzz, we've kind of touched on some of these big teams, right? But looking at it, 10,000-foot view, who are we considering the favorites? Who is coming for Florida's throne, if anybody, at this point?
Yeah, and there's a lot more offseason moves if we want to get into that again later. But in the East, I kind of broke this down. Top 3 teams, in my opinion, a dark horse and an uber dark horse in the East and the West. I don't think the top 3 is going to surprise anybody. Florida, Tampa, and Carolina in the East are my 3 confident teams we will see in bare minimum round 2 of the playoffs unless they run into each other first.
Buzz, with that,
the West,
help me with the divisions because that shit always fucks me up in the NHL because they're so poorly named outside of in the Eastern Conference, at least. I know Florida and Tampa are in the same division. Is Carolina in that division
in the
too?
AFC North, huh?
Yeah. Is Carolina in that division too, or are they in the Metro?
Yeah, they're in the Atlantic.
So
Carolina's in the Metropolitan.
Okay.
Florida, Tampa are in the Atlantic.
Okay. And in addition to that, Tampa Bay, that was not a team I was expecting. I thought their time had kind of passed by already. What am I missing here? Did they make a big move? Or correct me if I'm wrong, they lost first round last season, right?
Ran into Florida.
Right.
I mean, that's the only reason I think they're probably not getting a ton of respect. But no, if you have John Cooper behind the net, I think you got a chance. And then
you said behind the bench. I thought you made him sound like he was the goalie for a second. I'm like, huh. Last time I checked, they had some Russian back there.
Oh no, John. Yeah, no, John. Yeah, no. Well, put John Cooper between the pipes. See what happens. No, I mean, Anthony Cirelli is kind of not a dark horse at all, but a tertiary, maybe 4th, 5th pick for the Selke every year. You still have Braden Point. You still have, oh my gosh, I'm
Kucherov. Say something nice about my Russian.
Yeah, no, Kucherov, his drunken stupor for his interviews are all time. And then you still have like a stable on the back end. But I mean, like we were talking about for goaltenders, Vasilevsky never count him out. So I just think that they have the playoff experience. They know what it takes to win. They have depth. They have Kucherov, right? And he's the favorite for points and goals every single year. It's just they're living in a shadow, which is funny because they went to the Cup for I think it was 4 years in a row. I think they lost one in there. I think it was the St. Louis because then, yeah. But no, I mean, they're a dynasty and they still have a very, very solid roster. So I didn't do anything crazy in the free agency or anything like that, but still extremely relevant.
Yeah, it hasn't. Now that you mentioned that, is because I know Tampa went back to back and then Florida's gone back to back. Was there anybody in between there, or is that the Stanley Cup been in Florida for the last 4 years now? 4 or 5 years.
It's been in the southern market because Vegas. Oh my goodness,
Vegas. That I think they are smack in between.
I mean, I'm cheering on the USA come Olympics time, but we need a cup to maybe go north of the border. So I think the Canadians are pretty sick of waiting. But yeah, no, and it's super interesting to me because again, Austin Matthews is the product of the desert. You're seeing kids come out of Texas like Seth Jones and players coming out of Florida and it was always Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, and New England, greater New England. And now it's just the game is spreading, which is great, but bring the cup up where it's cold, please. We don't have a ton to celebrate. We're just happy that it's warm in the summer, but to have a cup in the north would be greatly appreciated. I'll speak on behalf of Canadians there too.
Okay. So those are the 3 favorites. Give me your dark horse and your uber dark horse in the Eastern Conference. I'm interested here because there's a couple of teams I feel like could be here. I want to see if you say them.
The dark horse, I don't think avid hockey watchers are going to be like, that's not a dark horse, you piece of shit. Washington, they came out of nowhere last year. I know Ovi's goal run was obviously monumental, absolutely insane record that was never going to be touched. So it's weird that I think their success maybe got muted by all the attention around the record. But they're really good. And they've added young forwards that can fill in when Ovi's not just absolutely smoking a cigarette and having a Coca-Cola on the left circle on the power play. These guys are good, but in the Metro, it's hard to get out of the Metro. And then when you get to the East for playoffs, it's a buzzsaw. So it's just stop it. He's already dead. No, I mean,
You're
every
killing
team
him.
that gets there, you're just Jesus. Yeah, there's no fun matchup in the East. It's just it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, I guess. But no, I didn't know if that was on your list, Isaiah, but Washington.
Okay.
And then the uber dark horse, which people are probably going to be like, what the hell are you talking about?
Say it.
Put $1 on the future for the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yes.
To win the cup.
Give me some Blue Jackets.
Yeah. It's their 25th anniversary as a franchise. I don't know. I believe in fate. They got a bunch of young kids, and they do have the legitimate captain for the USA team, Zach Werenski. So it's just like, I don't know. The Olympics this year, you take some things personally. I don't know. Could be fun.
Columbus.
Yeah, I think they would immediately get a bump in the standings if they just wore that alternate uniform with the cannon for every single game. That isn't
I thought you were going to say the bug.
No, the cannon is one of the ultimate looks in the NHL right now, in my opinion. I love it.
Yeah. No, I do like the cannon. The colorway is conservative, which I think a lot of NHL franchises are, right? They don't go too crazy with the alternates. But like when that cannon goes off in there, I've never seen a game in Columbus. I have to imagine it's like Skull or Jump Around at Madison. Like it is got to be like what you go for in the atmosphere. So I don't know. I hope there's a whole lot of cannon shots going on in Columbus this year. It'll be fun.
You have any idea what their chances are of actually winning it?
No, I have not checked. NFL betting has not treated me well this year. And I tend to not bet on the NHL until they're like Thanksgiving time. Let the teams kind of figure out the tweaks and the injuries.
Plus 12,500 right now.
Put $1 on it. Everyone's got $1.
And you don't even have to do the Stanley Cup. Just do them to some playoff prop. Would be
$100,
yeah,
$1,200 or $12,000 hit. Let's put money on it.
Legal disclaimer: I'm not telling you to do that, but
we're not big enough. You don't have to give legal disclaimers yet.
Yeah, but people can listen back on this when it's a week out from the playoffs and you guys are exploding and got sponsors. It's gonna be crazy.
At that point, it's too late. The odds are already going to be tanked.
I don't know. They still could do it. They can still do it. But moving over to the West, though, again, top 3, not going to be surprised. Isaiah, you already brought up 1. Dallas, they're not my number 1. They're my 3. Number 2, Colorado, number 1. I'm so sorry to everyone in Edmonton, but yeah, it is Edmonton. I know it hurts to hear the forecast for the season, and you've dealt with what you've dealt with for the last 2 seasons. But those 3 insanely talented players, they've shown success. Edmonton's got a new coach. So that would be super interesting. Anytime you have, don't quote me on that, I might be getting confused, but anytime you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl in a room, you have a chance. But they did have a lot of kind of like 3rd and 4th line shifting. So it is going to be a new room. But again, with those 2, it's just hard to keep them out of the conversation. But as for the dark horse in the West, kind of falls into the Washington bracket if it's not going to be a huge surprise. St. Louis, they are like ragtag, just lunch pail team, and they are fun to watch. And they brought back kind of like the retro, like lighter blue jerseys, which are just so clean, which I'm very, very envious of. I wish I was a St. Louis fan just to wear the jersey. But no, look for St. Louis to do some things, and they'll be playing Dallas a whole lot in the Central. But again, I do think that Central is going to be run by Dallas this year again. But as for the uber dark horse, let's give it up for Detroit, Motor City.
Ooh.
One of the oldest average age rosters.
Wait. Bus, Detroit's in the Eastern Conference, buddy.
Shoot, there you go. There's one. Uber dark horse number 2.
No, how can we have our hockey expert come on and not even get the teams in the right conference?
I had too much syrup.
And now we have to backtrack. Are they your ultra dark horse in the East, or is it Columbus?
Ultra dark horse in the East. No, it's
Bus is reeling right now. He's trying to figure out who his dark horse in the West is going to be now because he didn't.
No,
he was so prepared.
I'm actually trying to find the date when they moved to the East because they were in the West. That's always the best part.
Yeah, but we don't live in the past anymore, Bus. Sorry.
No. Well, then if I'm going to pick a uber dark one for the West, I'm going to say ultra dramatic. I'm going to say, I'm going to do the Wild. Kirill the Thrill is going to get a max 8-year, $16.5 million contract.
Bus,
And it'll be the Uber.
Bus, he already signed the contract.
Oh, he did? There you go.
Oh my God. It was
Tell me,
earlier
Isaiah.
this week.
Tell me what I need to know.
It was earlier this
good.
week. It was
Good.
What was it? It was 8 years, 136 mil. So it broke the record for total money and average per year. I think it's like 16.5, which makes me really curious, not to like just hijack this conversation, really curious what happens with Connor McDavid and what he could command from the Oilers.
I mean, he just wants a cup.
See, that's where
17 per year.
That's what I've been hearing. Because Connor McDavid, all he does in the media is talk about how it's championship or nothing. Like that's all that he truly cares about. So this is really going to be the opportunity for him to put his money where his mouth is. Because I don't think anybody's arguing that he deserves 20% of whatever the salary cap is, whatever next year is. I think that it's approaching like it would be like $18 to $20 million, I think. But does he go for that max amount, or do you see him leave money on the table so that they are able to address some of those areas of concern that they've had in the past, specifically their goaltending? And I guess I'll make this a two-pronged question. Do you think he's even staying in Edmonton?
He's doing a really good job of, well, everything I say now is discredited because I'm a week behind in all news and I forgot that the Detroit's in the East. No, I mean, he's doing a really good job of like, I don't know, faking it. if he is disingenuous, but I don't see him being like a prima donna. I think that he would take a home team discount so they can address other areas of concern if he were to stay in Edmonton. But I think the number is totally on a sliding scale of where he's getting looked at. If he's getting looked at to fill in for like a team that's rebuilding, I think that he'd want more money. But if he's going to, I mean, it would never happen. But if he goes to Colorado or Dallas, like, yeah, he will take the discount for the cup on a short term deal and just for the cup, and he'll renegotiate terms somewhere else, probably maybe go back to Edmonton, who knows. But
so what would you put?
I don't see him being that guy.
What would you put the percent at that he returns to Edmonton? Do you think it's all based on this season and whether or not they can actually hoist the cup? Like, is it cup or bust type of thing? Or do you think they are still in a pretty good position to bring him back, even if they don't?
I think 80% chance he stays in Edmonton if it's not an act. I still think he's thinking about it actively. Even if he is totally genuine, 80% chance. I think that I think he will have his mind made up. Let's say they are going to the playoffs, but they do nothing at the trade deadline. I think that he will be very, very let down, and we'll see where playoffs take him, and that will dictate where he goes, if he stays or if he leaves. And that 20% could start looking more like 50-50.
Yeah, I'm just really curious how he would mesh in a larger market, because I think he can kind of, part of me feels like he really enjoys the fact that Edmonton's just such a small market, and obviously he still gets a lot of attention, but I feel like comparatively to if he was playing in LA or New York or Toronto, right? I
think the fans fuel him though. A small market, but what else are you doing on a Tuesday night? You're going to see an oil town. Like, you're going to see the Oilers. Like, I don't know. I get what you're saying, but like, I mean, Edmonton's media isn't Toronto's, but like, I don't necessarily think the media in LA is as bad as Edmonton. Like, because that's all they got, right? I mean, they got the big mall and oil and the team. So it's just like, I don't know. It'll be super, super interesting. I think that like, take the team away. He seems like a stand-up guy. So I think he's going to feel the weight of the world on his shoulders. Like, I can't leave this team, you know, but you need the cup. He's getting a little old. I mean, he's not old, but
I was going to say, I think he's still only like 28, right? Which is crazy. To say.
I mean, but undoubtedly, in my opinion, the best player in the league. I know people think that Nate, ran. People are chasing him, but I still think he's the best. He just needs the cast, and he's been pass first with Draisaitl. So if he goes to a team that doesn't have a Draisaitl, he's got to shoot more. And the legs are still phenomenal, out of this world legs, but they're not 23-year-old legs. So I don't know.
Okay, Bus. So you've gone through your teams, the top contenders, some dark horses, but who are some under the radar names that us casual NHL fans should prepare to know or start learning about leading up to this season?
Yeah. So all the players have something in common. They're all in the West. And I think that's similar to any sport. It's just hard to watch players on Pacific time, right? Like, we can't stay up all night, depending on if you're Eastern or Central. So under the radar, I'm just going to say at large, the San Jose Sharks. It's been hard times in San Jose.
Just a
But with the
blanket
recent
statement, huh?
It's a blanket statement. Just like watch that team. They're predators in the water. No, Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith, two clear, like if you're watching the drafts and you're a diehard hockey fan, you know these names. It's not a surprise to you. But for people who don't avidly watch, these two players are going to be a part of the wave of the future. I can't say they underperformed in their rookie season because it was their rookie season on a dumpster fire team, right? But now they're year two. They still have a cast of young guys who are probably learning how to be professional hockey players together. I think that's a bonding. It's a glue moment. Don't expect them to sniff the playoffs. Don't even worry about them making the playoffs. But look at the plus minuses at the end of the year. Look how competitive they are with some of the big dogs in the West. Like they're going to be some good games to watch. They'll be entertaining. So Will Smith, Macklin Celebrini for San Jose. Going down the coast a little bit to more sunshine, Anaheim, Mason McTavish with the new coach of Joel Quenneville coming back, as well as Trevor Zegras going over to Philly. Mason is kind of the guy. They did get Chris Kreider, but he's kind of popsicle sticks and glue right now. He's still a big guy, but he ain't it anymore. So he plays a gritty game. He's got like crazy haircut, just like a character. Good Instagram follow. Totally under the radar, though, due to that time zone. And last but not least, in Calgary, I actually had the privilege to go to Calgary this spring, and I got to see this person play. Connor Zary took a little dip. This is his third season. He's still really young at 23, 24, maybe. He had 34 points in his sophomore season. He dipped down to 27 points. But on that team, you have Kadri as well as Huberdeau, who are aging assets, take up a ton of money. They're going to have a huge slot for him to have success this year, or they really need him to rise to the top and kind of bring 40, 50 points. So I would say keep an eye out for Connor Zary. And arguably, it's RIP the Saddle Dome in a few years. Great venue to watch a game. And I think that'll be a fun arena this year before they get their new rink in a couple years. So those are the four guys I say keep an eye out for if you could stay up late and watch Pacific Standard Time. Otherwise, make sure you tune in for their road trips to the East.
Okay, perfect. Well, I know we had also talked offline about some rule changes that are going to be implemented this upcoming season. I had not heard a lick about any sort of rule changes. So please enlighten me into what these changes are and the impact that they may have.
Yeah, some of these are so common sense. I don't know why we haven't had them. And some of these are welcome to banana lands. The big one, though, is coming to you this February, I believe, for the first time, I think, since 2014, when the American sniper Oshie took down Russia. We are allowing NHL players to play in the Olympics, which is, I don't know why we keep going back and forth on this. So while there will be a lot of eyes on the Olympics, this will be an opportunity for people to play for a different reason besides the cup. So again, absolutely love the rule change there. So let's go with the ones that make sense first for the NHL. Coaches can now challenge delay of game for puck out of play when you're just gassed. A lot of players will toss it high up off the glass, get a change. Sometimes when it goes over the glass, for people who don't know, you get a delay of game penalty, and it sucks because you're tired and your team hates you. Now they can challenge that if it gets tipped or touched the glass. Just makes sense. The second one for just makes sense, the backup goaltender warm-up. If your starting goaltender is getting medically evaluated, your goaltender will get a brief time. It is not listed, but a brief time to warm up. Could you imagine sitting on a bench for 50 minutes and you have to play the last 10? It's tied up or you're a goal down and you go in cold. That's not fair. So kudos on them. All right. The other one. So this is the last two are a little bit weird. Line change after a dislodged net. As a big fella who gives it his all, and my lung capacity gives sometimes you gotta unlodge the net so the ref blows the whistle. Now, if the goaltender or your team, or even if you get pushed into the net and it gets dislodged in your zone and the whistle blows, you cannot change your line. So this is similar to icing. If you ever need a break and you ice the puck, your line cannot change. So this will be very, very interesting for some of those maybe crafty goaltenders. I think Marc-Andre Fleury was the biggest personality who did this, but just a wherewithal, keep your eyes on that net because teams are about to get burned with this particular call. So The last one, I don't get this at all. This is like the perfect rule for don't quote us sports. You can get an unsportsmanlike conduct for sitting on the boards or drawing your leg over the boards before changing. So what I think they're trying to, so I wrote down the description here to be thorough, and I have my guess as to why. If a player is sitting or has a leg hovering on or over the boards while awaiting a line change, that can draw an unsportsmanlike penalty. The first time per game, the referee will warn the team. Further infractions will bring on a bench minor. There is a reason why hockey is the most entertaining game to watch. It is fast-paced. They have weapons attached to their feet, and they're holding a stick that could take someone's head off. With this, it will slow down line changes incrementally, but those seconds matter if there is an odd man rush going the other direction. So I think they just want to understand if someone's at the top of the circle and they have 2 more strides to make it to the bench, I don't know. This is going to be one that is going to make coaches' blood boil. And I'm pretty sure if you call this on a home team and in a barn, the fans are going to be waiting for you by the buses. This penalty is going to suck come playoff time.
What do you is it player safety, the reasoning?
I think it's flirting with too many men on the ice.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, like, it's not 6 players, but like if someone's tapping their stick because they're gassed and they want to get the attention of the guy on the bench, he jumps into the rush. Is that fair? I mean, I played beer league. We do it all the time. The guy's like 100 yards away and I'm like, I'm on, just jump in and go. But yeah, it's going to get weird come playoff time with that rule.
It just feels like it's going to be a very hard thing from a consistency standpoint to be able to call. There's only 3 refs on the ice at a time, and there's so much shit going on already. I feel like it's going to be very difficult to catch those instances as they're occurring.
Yeah. I mean, their eyes should be on the play, right? How many penalties happen behind the ref's back when people give a stick jab to the back, to the kidneys or to the back of the legs? Now they're looking at the bench. We'll see if there's a lot of missed offsides calls this year. But hey, they got the challenge now, so who knows? People are using that left and right. And the very last rule that will pertain, and this is so straightforward and should have been done a long time ago, they fixed the LTIR loophole with salary cap. For those unaware, players that cost $10 million, they can go on LTIR, and a team can acquire a player up to the same value of that player, and then they can activate the LTIR player in the playoffs. So Vegas did this, Tampa did this, Chicago did this, Florida did this. And this is kind of a situation, Isaiah, to your point with Connor. If someone's hurt and they can afford Connor for $7 million for a 1-year contract, they can't do that anymore. So glad they wrapped that one up.
Awesome. Good to know. Busts there. Anything else rules-wise?
Have a good time at the game. Get home safe.
Do they still have... Never mind. That was a dumb question. I'm going to cut that part.
No, ask it. For the sake, because I've been blabbering on, ask it.
No, because no.
Detroit's in the East, if you were wondering. I just double-checked.
But to wrap up our conversation with the subject matter expert, let's speed run through the end of the season awards and Stanley Cup prediction, and we'll let you get back to your loving wife. So to start off, what order do I want to go in? Honestly, let's add a little bit of suspense. Let's go with the Calder Trophy, awarded to the most outstanding rookie.
Ivan Demidov, Montreal. Didn't get to see him play a whole lot last year, but analysts have been raving about him. And to me, I think there's just been so much buzz around rookies over the last few years. I know I had mentioned San Jose, but even Connor Bedard the year before was kind of like a layup. I don't think there's a ton of great rookies out there this year that are going to make an impact. So, it'd be nice to have Montreal into some end of season award conversations, because I feel like the whole Providence is going to kill me, but Montreal's not going to the playoffs.
Okay. Next,
they have to go through the Bs.
What about the Vezina, awarded to the top goaltender?
Everyone's going. So I guess my first answer is always going to be what the market's saying. The second answer is probably going to be more of my opinion. Connor Hellebuyck has always been like at the top of the list for the last 5 years. He's insane, and he's American, so I'd love to have him on our team. Like, he keeps folding in the playoffs. It's a tough go. But I think Igor Shesterkin for the Rangers, they're one of the teams that need to have a comeback season. I think Igor gets it together between the pipes, and I think he takes it. I think Rangers will sniff the playoffs in like a wild card spot. Regular season, Igor Shesterkin for me.
And then we got the Norris Trophy, awarded to the top defenseman.
Isaiah, get out the lotion. Probably Cale Makar.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know we've talked offline about my true feelings about this guy. My dark horse, Homer till I die, Charlie McAvoy, the American Stallion. I think boy is right, Charlie boy. No, I think that he is on a dumpster fire of a team. He and Pasternak are going to miss the prime of their career based on the absolute yard sale that they made last year. I think Charlie's going to step up. I think Jeremy Swayman, after the contract drama last year, is he's got to make his money this year. For me as a fan, he's got to make his money. But Charlie is a dual threat. I think he's going to be a huge impact for the States in the Olympics. And last year he got injured during the Four Nations, which took a lot of his season away. So he's got some fresh legs. The shoulder's a long way from the legs. I think that's what Herb Brooks said.
Hey, he's plus 20,000 right now. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, about $1. Don't quote us sports.
And then the last one, the Hart Trophy for the most valuable player.
Both answers suck, guys. I'm sorry. You're not going to get a whole lot of hot takes on this one. It's going to be Connor McDavid or it's going to be Nate McKinnon. There's no one else. They probably won't win the most goals or anything. Like, they're not going to win the Art Ross. But yeah, Nate or Connor, just signed, sealed, delivered.
How close is the gap? Is it true 50-50 right now? Are we talking 70-30, McDavid over McKinnon?
I don't know who's actually voting for him. I think the people who actually vote can't stop slobbing all over Connor. I think it's a lot closer personally. I think it's more 50-50. But yeah, the committee I think is Connor, homeboys.
Okay. And then to bring us home, Mr. Bus, give me the world, or Jesus Christ, sorry. I got the Yankees game on in the background. Give me your Stanley Cup predictions and call your shot right now. Who's hoisting the cup come the end of the season?
Okay. People are going to get super pissed. Even though Barkov's hurt, Florida. I think it's going to be Florida. It's a coin toss between Dallas and Colorado. I'm going to go with Dallas, but Florida's just too deep. They're a dog pound. That's right. No, they had so much stuff that they needed to true up in the offseason just with the core team, and they did it. And also, my man, Brad Marchand, the rat, is there. So Barkov is a quiet leader. You still have so many leaders in the room before Marchand got there. Bob is aging like fine wine. Like, he still gets it done. I just can't see them losing unless they have like a crazy amount of injuries. They know how to get it done. And like, I don't know what's that steroid you get injected into like your knee or your back, cortisone? I think that they got cortisone, like P. Diddy levels of cortisone from Costco, and they're just pumping it into the team. There's no way they're not going to win again. On the other side, Dallas and Colorado, again, it's just a matter of health. But I would give the nod to Dallas just because I want to be a little exotic, and it'd be fun to see them get to the final. Connor McDavid is going to burn Edmonton down and lose in the second round.
Shit.
God.
Okay. Well, Bus, thank you so much for taking the time to come and enlighten us.
Don't cut me off just yet. I got shout outs. I've been a long time listener. I know shout outs are a thing.
God, okay.
And
okay.
I'm counting on getting invited back when I know the conference breakouts later in the season. But I got to give a shout out to Johnny's Ice House in Chicago. You treat all of the beer leaguers like gold. Don't close. Never close. Keep the dreams alive. And the only thing that, Herb, you missed on my intro, I'm still a free agent. So Chicago, if you're listening to this, I'm real close. I can come by anytime. My gear's at the rink. I can leave work early for a tryout. That's all I got. Thank you.
And you don't need a jersey.
I don't need a jersey. I don't. You can keep the change. I'll bring my own gear too. I take my own stick. But if someone could help me tie my skates, that'd be great. I got type 3 diabetes. It's hard to bend over and tie them.
God.
Well, Bus, we will definitely have you back on once the season kicks off. And we'll see how correct or how much of an expert you truly are here once the season kicks off.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
Awesome.
Thanks, Bus.